Welcome back. You're watching us here on CNBC-TV18's halftime report. Pull up the intraday chart of Ola Electric. There has been a bit of a recovery from the lows, but remember the stock was down about 8% in yesterday's trading session as well. And this as the Central Consumer Protection Authority has issued a show cause notice to Ola Electric following a wave of over 10,000 complaints received on the National Consumer Helpline. To discuss this, we have with us Hormazd Sorabjee, who's the editor, Autocar India, and HP Ranina, who's the senior advocate at Supreme Court itself. Thanks a lot, gentlemen, for joining in. Hormazd, I'll come to you first. On the product, what do you think this conversation around Ola Electric, its services, the quality, etc., would do to the market? Because up until now, it has been the market leader with a high amount of market share. But you also have some more traditional players coming into electric vehicles. Amidst all of this, what does this do to the product itself?
Well, I think, honestly, it's a story of arrogance and ignorance, to be very frank. I mean, the arrogance Bhavish Aggarwal has had. We've seen the way he kind of engages on Twitter. I've also engaged with him on one occasion. Clearly, I think, what's very clear, he doesn't understand the auto business as well as he should. He thinks everything can be done overnight. Obviously, shows in product quality. I think he doesn't seem to care about service or the customer. It's all about the valuation, trying to, I would say, honestly, the investors are responsible for creating what I would call this situation where, he's from confidence has gone to arrogance because obviously there's a lot of money behind this. He's actually bought market share. If you look at it, we know it's not a very profitable company. The product itself, the S1 Pro, I have to say it's a good product as far as spec goes, but that's just not enough. And going forward, I really don't see his a fresh line of products coming out either. So I think service is one thing he has to nail first. A lot of consumers are upset. Consumers is what makes or breaks a product and a brand.
Okay, Hormazd, it'll be interesting to get your thoughts on how he could recover from this or what the strategy would be that you would probably recommend. But before that, I just want to get Mr. Ranina into this conversation. Sir, they've received that show cause notice from the Central Consumer Protection Authority, and the notice alleges violations related to consumer rights, misleading advertisements, unfair trade practices. Give us a sense in terms of, how serious this show cause notice is in the larger scheme of things for Ola.
Well, a show cause notice is generally issued in conformity with the legal principle that you must give an opportunity of being heard before you take any action against the party. So Ola will now have to give its reply to the show cause notice and justify whatever stand it has to take and meet with the problems which are pointed out by the consumers. The consumers are certainly aggrieved if there are more than 10,000 or 1 lakh complaints, as you pointed out, then there is certainly some truth in that statement. Therefore, they have to show that the complaints made against Ola are not justified, and the ball is entirely in the court of Ola now to prove that their product is of good quality, their services what was expected of them to give, and they are up to the agreement which they've entered into while delivering the product. So this is the first step, that the commission will then go into the issues, give a hearing to both parties, and then give a final order.
Right. We understand that. Mr. Ranina, just a follow-up on that would be, as Hormazd said, that it's a reputational damage to the company because a lot of people are complaining. Secondly, on social media as well, there has been a fair amount of furor around it, and that's reflected in the stock price move in yesterday's trading session as well. From a purely legal standpoint, how much of that do you think will weigh in on the concerns around product quality and consumer complaints?
Well,
I think we've lost you there. We just try and fix that audio. Mr. Ranina, I think you've muted yourself.
Okay, maybe we can just get back to Mr. Ranina in a bit. But Hormazd, if you could just come in on this, this problem seems to be mounting, 10,000 complaints which have come in. So the key question is, how does one claw out of this problem now? What would the recommendation, or what do you think would happen, considering that you've looked at the auto space for so long, and this is a product that you're dealing with where there are multiple consumer complaints? So obviously sales are going to be questioned here on.
Well, simple answer, but I don't think it's possible to do. Change the CEO. I think that really is the root of the problem, to be honest. Because I think, there is an absolute, how do I say, disregard for service issues. And don't forget, EVs generally, it's not just it's across the board. Right now, the EV industry is grappling with a lot of what we call software issues as EVs are moving towards what are software-defined vehicles. Software is really where the challenge is. You've got so much software and each one has to talk to each other. It's very, very difficult to do that. So I think, you've really got to focus on the quality side of it. You've got to understand that, things need time, they need validation. There's a life cycle, there's a kind of a process that products have to go through. All mature OEMs do this. That's why what you're seeing is Bajaj and TVS really chipping away at this huge start Ola had, because obviously, they've just been playing a slightly wait and watch game. And now they're confident of their products. And I think I won't be surprised if they soon overtake Ola as well.
All right, we'll get back to Mr. Ranina in just a bit. We've got his audio fixed, but just a quick follow-up on this. Hormazd, Ola Electric, do you think it's an Ola Electric problem itself, or from a consumer standpoint, do you think it's a problem for all the electric vehicle two-wheelers? Because on the one hand, there is always this sort of range anxiety, uncertainty around buying an e-vehicle. And then you have problems around, so many consumer complaints coming in, and this against a supposed leader out here. So does this, make people take a step back and back just the traditional ICE two-wheelers?
Well, I think obviously service issues will cause a loss of confidence. But quite frankly, you've got other products like Ather. They do a really good job. We've ridden all these bikes, very well sorted. You speak to the promoters, you've got someone who's very kind of pragmatic, practical, gives you a lot of confidence. And that, obviously they're much smaller, not as well funded. Clearly, Ola has done a fantastic job of, let's say, raising the required investment and obviously thinking on a certain vision and scale. But clearly that has come at the cost of quality, as I said earlier. So software is a challenge. It's not that it's, kind of insurmountable. Everyone has it, but there are ways to kind of, let's say, validate product development going forward. And I think that's what needs to be looked at a lot more critically.
Okay. Mr. Ranina, I just wanted your thoughts in terms of how this show cause notice can probably escalate, according to you. As of now, the company has said that it does not impact their financial or operational activities as of now, and it does not include any penalties or financial fines either. So this seems to be a little, a little blunt in terms of what it could do legally. But is there any way that it could escalate and something that maybe people need to watch for?
Because once the show cause notice is given, then Ola will have to reply. To that reply, the consumers will give a counter reply. So all the dirty linen will come out in public. Whatever the issues involved will come out, and therefore it's going to certainly escalate. And thereafter, the commission will give its final finding and report. And that itself could be the nail in the coffin of Ola in case they uphold the objections raised by the consumers. It will certainly affect them. It's going to escalate. This is only the beginning.
Any examples you can share with us in terms of what's happened in the past, just to give us a sense in terms of what the extent could be?
The extent would be that the issues will come out in the public domain, and certainly it will affect their share price because people will know that there is something in it. Damages are going to be raised at present. Obviously, there can be no damages because they are still being given an opportunity of being heard. But subsequently, if things are correct, if the consumers are right, if products are not up to the mark, if the service is poor, if the agreements are violated, then heavy penalties will be levied. As you know, in many cases of SEBI, for example, SEBI has levied penalty for various people, and that has affected the stock price.
All right, take that point. Thank you so much, Mr. Ranina, for giving us the legal view, and Hormazd for giving us the view of the consumer, the auto expert as well, what happens to the product. His three-word solution for the problems right now is change the CEO. Of course, we'll see more of the developments as they happen from now. But for now, it's an interesting, important consumer issue for those who've put in their hard-earned money to buy a product which is promised to be good, and they do not expect any sort of problems out here. But now that the problems have happened, maybe the company could go ahead and service them well as well. Complaints are mounting. Thanks a lot. We will obviously dial back once there are more developments on this issue itself. With that, it's time now to take a short break. But as we do that, in case you missed this exciting conversation that we had with Mr. Ranina and Hormazd Sorabjee and many such other conversations, then what you can do is just use your phone, because all the news and business updates is just a click away. This is the all-new app of CNBC TV18, from which you get instant access to breaking news, in-depth articles, a lot of discussions that we have on the channel as well, and all the financial world updates at your fingertips. All you got to do is go to the App Store, or if you're using an Android phone, go to the Google Play Store and download the CNBC TV18 app. Stay with us.